Welcome to our suicide awareness event presented by Black Women Cultivating Change. We are back like we never left. So thank you to Black Coffee Lounge for having us back in the house again. So today we are here to discuss kind of a heavy topic, but a much needed conversation about suicide awareness. First, we're going to bring up Mary from the Suicide Coalition. She wants to give us some words.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
This is a tremendous turnout for a really important subject that we all got to get comfortable. We got to get comfortable talking about mental health, but we really have to get comfortable talking about suicide. And this is nationally, September is Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. We in Hamilton County have had a suicide prevention coalition since 2008. We now are up to, in 2025, 89 members. And here's the thing, this is a coalition effort is a nothing about us without us effort. We need everybody at the table. So if you have a desire to work in suicide prevention space, if you want to help young people, old people, everybody in between, we need you too. So reach out. There is amazing work being done. There is a lot of things we can do to prevent suicide. The biggest thing is we got to talk about it. We got to ask some hard questions.
There's a serious need for mental health services. Just the conversations, the community around mental health is needed. And so I didn't have access to these type of programs when I was a kid. So I just think being able to offer them here in our space, it means we're making progress.
So our goal today is to increase understanding, share resources, and empower each other to support those who may be struggling. Today we'll hear from our esteemed panelists about the topic.
My name is Ashley Gray. I am a community program manager for an organization called 1 in 5. And our entire purpose is to spread information and education about mental health and suicide prevention.
Good morning, my name is Sherry Allen. I'm from Butler County. I work for Envision Partnership. I'm a mental health program trainer. My focus is suicide prevention. Prayer is wonderful, but it won't solve the problem. God gave us more than that. He gave us therapists.
My name is Dr. Stephen D. Nifford Jr. I'm an associate professor at the University of Cincinnati. I'm also a licensed clinical psychologist in Kentucky, Ohio, and Indiana. My area of expertise is racial trauma and race-related stress, and more specifically, Black male mental health. There's this quote by Audre Lorde that says that you can't dismantle the master's house with the master's tools. And for many of us, we've been attempting to navigate mental health from a master's-oriented standpoint. And so I'm hoping as a part of this conversation, we will talk about the tools that we need for our community in order to address suicide and suicide prevention.
My name is Dr. Kadori Ingeri Marshall. I am a psychiatric nurse practitioner and extreme mental health advocate. As everybody on the panel already said, when we get to talking about mental health, I will talk your head off. I know I'm only one person, but my goal is to change the world.
When we're talking about understanding the crisis, what unique culture, social, and historical factors contribute to suicide risk in the Black community?
Some folks might be familiar with the term epigenetics, and so I'll talk about it from like a metaphor standpoint, and I'll be very brief about it. So imagine during slavery times, my ancestors were slaves and how to navigate that process, that you saw really challenging things happen to you in your particular community. However, you didn't have a chance to deal with that, right? You couldn't go hang out with someone like myself. You couldn't watch something on TV to decompress. Instead, you just had to navigate that space and keep on moving. And so what happened for a lot of folks is they utilized this concept called compartmentalization in order to address that particular issue. So you would tuck that stuff away, you would put it in a box, and you would deal with it at a later time. The challenge is that we never got back around to dealing with those things. Instead, we actually just passed along that trauma to the next generation of folks who, seeing that that was a strategy that we used, also tuck those things away in a box and pass them along to the next generation. And so now we have this newest generation of folks who are sitting with all these boxes of trauma that they are having to hold. I've moved around a bit in my lifetime, and I can tell you if you are holding a bunch of boxes, they are heavy, so it's really hard to move. You can't see anything because you only see the boxes. And if you ever set those boxes down, you feel kind of overwhelmed trying to open those things up, right? And so that's a challenge that many of our folks are having from an epigenetic standpoint, is that we are literally carrying all these generations of trauma within our DNA that are impacting us at this time.
From the rest of the panelists, if we take it a step further, how do stigma and silence around mental health specifically impact suicide prevention efforts in the Black community?
We keep things inside. We don't talk about it because historically we were never taught to talk about it. So we keep everything inside and it begins to build right until it explodes. Children don't know how to talk to parents. Parents don't know how to talk to children. We don't know how to listen because we've really never been taught how to listen. If you can't talk about a physical illness, you're definitely not going to talk about a mental illness. And mental illness is no different than having diabetes. It's something that you didn't go out and buy. You didn't say I won't. You didn't wake up one morning and say, this is what I want to do. And so when we live with those things and we sit in those things and we don't have anybody to talk to and we don't understand how we can go to therapists, then what happens is you figure there's a solution. And the solution is, I don't need to be here.
It is important for Black men, well, not just Black men specifically, but for us as a community to talk about mental health, because the stigma is that we just keep everything bottled up inside. And it is important to share information. You know, people don't need to be in your business, but it is important to share what you are going through, because you never know how people can help.
Because we don't talk about it enough, there becomes this battle between common versus normal, right? And so because we're not talking about it, I just assume that everybody is having this experience. I want to make sure that we pause and say, wait for your response. Not just surface, but how are you doing? No, okay, that's cool, good. That's what you would want me to hear. How are you really doing? And then the other piece is knowing that depression doesn't look the same amongst everybody. It's not always just me boo-hoo crying or just I'm just sad. It could look like irritability, right? Because depression looks different depending on who you are, right? It could be me trying to back you up to get you away from me. That doesn't mean that I'm not still in a state of depression or experiencing depression. That just means that I need you to maybe, and it's difficult, right? It's not easy to be around someone and engage and really care. That is hard. Let's acknowledge that. It's not gonna be a cakewalk, but genuinely caring for somebody and saying, how are you doing? I understand you want me to get away from you. I understand this is easy. You probably don't want, because what you've been used to is compartmentalizing, and this is not something that you want to deal with, but I want you here. I love you on purpose. I love you and I want you to stay here. How are you doing? Beyond your irritability, beyond you cussing and fussing, beyond you talking about, no, I'm gonna just pray. I understand you can pray when I leave, but I'm talking to you now.
Picking up on social cues is big. You have any thoughts you want to know harm yourself or anyone else? And sometimes, you can see it, maybe they look down or, something, you'll be able to pick up on it. So I'll ask somebody and they may put their head down and they say no, and I'm like, it's okay if you have those thoughts. When you're depressed, sometimes you have those thoughts. Sometimes you feel like you would be better off not here, because what do you have to live for? Who are you helping? You are just miserable inside. I want to take the pain away. That is a natural feeling for people. If you're hurting, you want to end the pain, right? So getting comfortable with, I try to help people say, it's okay to not be okay, because it is. If you're not okay, you're not okay. It's okay to have those thoughts. It's okay to have those feelings. But what we don't want to do is act on those feelings. So
What can we as community leaders, as friends, as family, what can we do to approach individuals without them shutting down?
One of the things that we have a problem with in our particular community is we think that if we talk about suicide or suicidal ideation, that automatically means that person is going to go home and do something to themselves. That is not how this works, right? There's more help in asking folks directly, are you thinking about killing yourself? than it is around dancing or beating around the bush around it.
I say to people, practice saying the word suicide. Practice answering the question. It's not a hard thing because you're going to possibly save a life by asking the question.
Start talking to your kids. Ask them, is there something that I can do to help you? How can I show up for you? That's an important question.
For parents with children and adolescents under 21, I think, and it's newer, it's the Mobile Response Stabilization Services.
Yes.
And you can access them through 988, but I've been telling people to request MRSS, Mrs. with the S, and they will come out to the site wherever within 60 minutes to intervene, to assist, put resources in place, help facilitate referrals.
Along with just Black Women Cultivating Change, one of our pillars, we've been doing mental health first aid with a lot of the community churches out here to equip them with the tools to be able to provide that mental health support to the community. So it's an amazing thing that people are now honing in and understanding that it's not going away. It's just like diabetes, hypertension, all the things, and it has to be treated and people have to have resources.
I love that Black Women Cultivating Change is doing this because we're helping our own community understand, and then we can start to help our youth understand. This is a good thing that you could go off and do. We need to be working with people who are advocating for mental health. We need to be going to Columbus and talking about it.
So we have created this relationship with you all, but now we really want to take this momentum and be able to advocate with our local council members as well as statewide too as well. So be looking for some information on how we want to kind of use this to activate, like I said, and cultivate true change on that systemic level too as well.
If God feels that we are worthy enough to give us grace every single day because He does, who are we to not give grace to ourselves?
Thank you to our amazing founder, Ashley Glass, for her vision, her